Jai Gurudev, Jai Masters. At some point, you realize what it's all about is self-realization. What life is about, the purpose of all of creation is about, is self-realization. What does that mean? It means you're inside, you're inside, and you're dealing with a whole lot of, I call them objects of consciousness. Things that go on inside, things that come in from outside. There's a whole mishigas that goes on in there. And it's so strong and so complex and so overwhelming that your tendency is to get pulled into it, to get lost, to get distracted, to say the least, distracted. What does that mean? You're still in there, or you wouldn't be experiencing it. But we call this your seat of consciousness. You're always conscious. That's why you know stuff's going on. But do you know that you know this stuff's going on? Are you aware that you're aware of what's going on? That's what it means to be the witness. That's what it means to take the seat of consciousness, the center of the seat of consciousness, to be centered, to be seated in the seat of consciousness, to be established in the seat of consciousness. You're still there, you're in there, but it's very different in there because you're aware that this stuff is going on. Well, what's the alternative? That you're not aware that you're aware, you're just in it. You're in it. If you're above the rapids and you're watching them, you know, it's dangerous down there. There's rapids. If you're in the rapids, you're still you're still conscious, but you're overwhelmed. So you're not aware that you're aware. Does everybody get that? That's the difference between an awakened being and someone who's lost. That's the fall from the garden. What do you fall into? You fall into the disturbances and the changes that are going on inside that are so powerful that they pull you into them. And so I don't know how to use the words any different than to sit there and say, what does it mean to be pulled into them? You are lost. What do you mean? I still live at home. My address is the same. I'm not lost. I'm not looking for anything. But you're not as aware as you were when you were in there. Like, let's say you're going to get angry. Before you get angry, you might say to somebody, stop it. I can't handle you saying that. Don't do it. Okay? Then you're still there. You're there. You're aware that this anger is coming up inside. You're not enlightened. You're not self-realized. But you are aware that this is going on in there. And then the person continues doing what they're doing. And all of a sudden, you're not there anymore. You're swinging. You're yelling. You're running. You're throwing. Right or wrong? I know you've never done that, right? Okay. We call it, you lost it. Oh, I love it. Have you ever lost it? What is the it? That's a pronoun. What is the it? You lost your seat of consciousness. You lost the seat of awareness where you were objectively observing what was going on in there. It got too strong. It got overwhelming. Fair enough? That's really important to see that. That's actually very spiritual, okay? It's spiritual because you see the difference between at least having some semblance of a center. What is the center? The place from which you were watching the anger build. You weren't in the anger. You were in a place of awareness, of consciousness, that noticed that anger. I'm just using anger. It could be anger. It could be lust. It could be fear. It could be anything, couldn't it? There's all kinds of energies in there that can come up. They come up from below. You're above. You don't realize that. But I'm telling you, someday you'll realize you're sitting back here watching what's going on down there. You get this sense of distance, of perspective. But then you're not sitting here anymore. It was strong enough to pull you into it. And now you're just struggling being... by the way, in a sense, you're letting it express itself through you. You were here expressing yourself. Now it took over. Anger can take over. Lust can take over. Fear can take over. And it expresses itself in different ways. That's what it's like to live in there for a normal person. There are some people that never even get the objectivity. It's just, the question is, which of the things are taking over right now? Right? I'm feeling tremendous attraction towards you. I can't keep, oh my God, I can't even control myself. What did you say? I hate you. Oh my God, get away from me. Just like that. It can change, can't it? So you've got these energies, these patterns inside that can be gentle, mellow. You see them, but you do see them. You see them, okay? And then they take over. You're drowned in them. But you come back and you realize you lost it. You don't say, I'm sorry, I lost it. You say, it was your fault that I lost it. Because you don't want to think it was your fault. You don't think it has nothing to do with you. You won't always be right. You always want to be right. But I want you to understand that you are in there, and you know you're in there, and you see what's going on in there. But what's going on in there can overwhelm you and wash you out of your... It's funny. It does not wash you out of your seat of consciousness. It pulls your awareness into it. You're still there, but you're focusing on this so strongly that that becomes you. You become that. You express that. Okay? Is that okay? It is what it is. Now let's get down to real spiritual teachings. There's no right, there's no wrong, no good, no bad. It just is. Do you have the potential for anger inside of you? Do you have the potential for overwhelming passion? Do you have the potential for overwhelming fear? Every single one of you have experienced that. Okay? Fine. So it's not right or wrong. It's a human thing. It's a human thing. And what it's got to do with is the evolution of your being. I talked about it a little bit last time. Let's get that down. Some people say, how can the soul evolve? It's God. How can God evolve? All right? God can sit up here being God, but it's the consciousness, the ray of consciousness that's focusing on this particular thing, you, your thoughts, your emotions, your body. It's focusing on there. It's all the same consciousness, but it's focusing on different things. Focus on your mind, your mind, your mind. Okay, there. Those that are into the philosophical discussion of universal consciousness and souls can't evolve because they're one with God, fine. I don't disagree one iota. It's the truth, right? There is only one consciousness. There is only one consciousness. That is the consciousness of the universe that created all things, and it is aware of all things. It is just omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. There, we got God. Call it what you want. That is there all the time. Okay? And array of that. Can you focus your consciousness on something? Here, be aware of the room. Now be aware of my finger. Your consciousness can expand and contract by focusing. So God consciousness can focus on whatever it wants. And it right now is focusing on his thoughts, his emotions, his body, and what's coming in through his senses. And on your thoughts, same consciousness there. But you don't know that. Why? Because the consciousness gets lost because it focuses so strongly on the object of consciousness that it identifies with it. When you say I, you don't mean God. You may think you mean it because you're some high being, all right, but no way. You mean God, okay? Your mental intellect says, I know I'm God. But the point is, the consciousness that's looking at your ego, which is what that is, just the ego, is way down here. It's just something you put together in your psyche. So God consciousness is staring at the personal object and identifying with it. Most people go their entire life and never experience who they are. They experience what they're looking at. And when you say I, you mean what you're looking at. These are my views. I, me, mine. These are my views. That's my car. These are my thoughts. These are my opinions. This is my body. I'll give you that right now. And that's what I see, and that's what I like, and that's what I, right or wrong. Everything's I, me, mine. Okay? How do you know you think that? How do you know you feel that? How do you know if you're a Democrat or a Republican? How do you know any of this? Because I'm staring at a mind that tells me. Okay? And it can change its mind, can't it? Has it ever changed its mind? Of course it can change at any time. Therefore, it's not really you. How dare you say, I was like this, but now I'm like this. No, the same eye watched both. It's the same consciousness. But it doesn't wake up to realize that it's not what it's looking at. That's self-realization. When you realize, you don't think it, you just are the consciousness that is staring at the personal thoughts, emotions, body, and so on. That's where an enlightened being gets to that state. But we're not there. Why? Because what we're looking at is so captivating, distracting, overwhelming that we don't get out of what we're looking at. If you stare at something long enough, you identify with it. Here, I'm looking at my hand, I am the hand. If you don't say anything else for years and years, then what else you got to relate to? You identify with it. Okay, so that's what's going on in there. So we can put the God stuff aside, because yes, you are God. Yes, right now, this moment. By the way, it's not that you are God. It is God looking at you. You're already there. Right now, you're there. There's no place to go. There's nothing to do. If you were literally able to stop staring at this thing you're looking at, you would realize who is doing the staring. And that's enlightenment. That's the awakening. But it's not so easy, is it? Not so easy. Why is it not so easy? Because emotions can get very strong. Thoughts can get in fact, you're supposed to. You're supposed to decide what you like and stick to it. You're taught to do that. Come on, be a man, be a woman. Get some gusto, decide what you want and don't budge. Okay, good. That's just consciousness staring at this schnook that doesn't know who they are. And so it defines, what is the ego? What is the ego? Because you stare at that all the time. It is the self-concept. That's what psychology says. What Freud said. Your ego is your self-concept. That who you think you are. Not who you are. That who you think you are. So you made a concept of yourself based on your past experiences. You put together what you like and what you don't like and who you don't like and what you want to happen. That's your ego. This is my concept of who I am, what I want, what I like, what I don't like. It can change, can't it? Things happen in your life. All of a sudden everything changes and your whole thoughts change. I used to love him. I loved him with all my heart. I can't believe he did that. I will never talk to him ever again. How long did it take? 2 seconds? Nanosecond, by the way. Okay? So the ego is just a false concept of self. It's an illusionary self that you made up in your mind, but since you're staring at your mind and you never stop staring at the thing, you're hypnotized and identify with your ego, and when you say, you mean that. You don't mean God. You don't mean the consciousness that's looking at that. You mean what you're looking at. You already have that. That is the basis of all spirituality, of all understanding, of all deep teachings. The core of every religion. Christ taught it, Buddha taught it, the Kabbalah teaches it, the Quran teaches it. The ones who got there teach the deep teachings, but we can't hear them. Okay? So we don't adhere to any of it. Right? So basically, that's what's going on. So what's it like to live in there? We talked about that the other day. Is you're not the consciousness living in there. You're in there, lost. You're lost in what you're looking at. But you don't think of it as what I'm looking at because I'm lost in it. I'm that. Okay? So what do you do about that? What do you do about that? And there's just all kinds of teachings and all kinds of stuff. So many paths, so many traditions, so many rules, so many, oh my God. It's absolutely unbelievable. The core is, because you're lost in it, the only real spiritual growth is to not be lost in it. If you weren't lost in it, if anger came up and you could just see it come up and go away, so what? I told you, Ramakrishna, fully enlightened being, one of the highest being walked the planet. He was asked, does an enlightened being, a realized master, ever feel anger? He said yes. But he said it's like riding on water. What difference does it make what you ride on water? It doesn't even last any longer than your finger moves. It's irrelevant. It doesn't mean a single thing. It doesn't do anything. What happens when anger, human, just regular anger, comes in and passes right through? Nothing. Makes no difference. So it's not a matter of getting rid of the object of consciousness. That's what a lot of them teach you. Renounce this, get away from that, blah, 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 blah. Don't do this, don't touch that. Don't. You understand that? It's about being able to handle all the objects of consciousness, letting nature pass through you without you getting distracted or pulled into it. Then you can sit in the seat of consciousness. You can. By the way, when you reach that state, I guarantee you there's not another spiritual practice you will ever have to do for the rest of creation. What do you mean? Now everything comes in and passes through. What do? You won't be being pulled down anymore. It's because you're being distracted by the stuff and you can't handle the stuff that you get pulled into it. So now you're not with God. When you are capable of sitting in there without getting pulled down by any of these human things that come up inside. Very natural. There's natural tendencies or natural things. But when they can come up and it's like riding on water, they just pass right through. Now there's nothing binding you. There's nothing tethering you. You're not being tied down. You don't have to do a single thing from then on. What you will find is that you're seated in the highest seat, all by itself. When I used to tell the story of a hot air balloon, it's tied down with tethers, okay? And it's not going to go anywhere. Put more helium in it, put more hot air into it, do whatever you want. It's not going anywhere, all right? Untether it, and what do you have to do to make it go up? Absolutely nothing. Well, the same is true with you. When you stop getting distracted by what's going on in there, okay, we'll talk about that. When you stop getting distracted by it naturally, no effort, just, okay, I can handle it. I'm not distracted by it. I'm not getting pulled down into it. You will go up. To whatever degree you're capable of handling what's going on, you will go up. You don't necessarily go up all at once. You'll go up and then something bigger will happen and you'll find that you can't let go of that. You'll find that that kind of gets stuck a little bit, kind of pulled you into it, and the whole kinds of melodrama went on, okay? And that's because it held you down. It tethered you. Otherwise, you go straight up. There's a story, again, of Ramakrishna with his spiritual son, Vivekananda. His name was Nadan before he got a spiritual name. And Ramakrishna, I'm not getting into the whole story. It's a beautiful story. I'm not going to get into it. So Ramakrishna's sitting there with this college kid that went to a Western-type school in India, very bright guy. And the guru knew this was a disciple. He knew what he was going to grow up to be. And so when he met him very early in the relationship, the kid wasn't ready for anything, but the master took his foot, and the master's foot is kind of special. It's got a lot of Shakti in it. Okay? And he took his foot and put it against Nadan's heart, just touched against his heart. And Vivekananda said the whole room started spinning around, and he started being pulled out, and he got scared, and he started screaming, no, I have a mother, I have to be taken care of, I have to take care of my family. And Ramakrishna took his foot off, touched him on the head and said, it's okay, it doesn't have to happen all at once. That's a true story. So don't be thinking you want to go out there and get Shaktipat and that'll do it for you, because all it can do is raise the energy up, but if it's still bound, okay, that's why people do drugs and stuff like that. Yes, you can have an experience, but you're coming back. And nobody ever said you're not. So basically, understand that if you are bound, and how are you bound? You're bound by getting lost in not being able to handle, staring at, being distracted by this human stuff that's going on down there. Some people think you have to make it not be there. Be as pure as the white of snow. No anger, no lust, no greed, no this. Well, the same thing as having nothing, higher than not having it. Because you can sit in the seat of consciousness and handle what's going on in there. That's higher, isn't it? It's higher than sitting there saying, I have to make sure it doesn't go on in there. I have to make sure nobody sees it. I have to make sure I never feel it. I was wrong. Oh my God, I can't believe I felt that. I feel embarrassed. No, that's still more garbage. But if it comes up and you just feel there, it's the nature, and it doesn't pull you down. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm laying this groundwork for you. It's not that it's there. It's that you get pulled down into it that makes the difference. If you don't get pulled down into it, it just comes and goes. That's all. Every one of you would not be in this room if you have not had at least moments where something started coming up and you saw it as something that you should not get lost in, and you took a breath and let go. And it went. And you didn't act on it. You didn't say anything. No karma. Doesn't have to be a big thing, but you've done it with some, right? When you can do that with everything, when every single thing that is can come and pass right through you, there's nothing binding you. See the big difference I'm teaching you? It's not that it be there. It's not that it's right or wrong or good or bad. It's that you can't handle it. That's the key. So if that's the reason you're bound, if that's the reason you're not realized, then that's the work that needs to be done. It's not, yes, you can read scriptures. Yes, you can believe this. Yes, you can donate. Yes, you can do all kinds of stuff. But if you're still getting distracted, here, donate a bunch of money to a church or a synagogue or something like that and have nobody say thank you. See how you're doing. And you'll find out where you're coming from. It's just, you do it all the time. Tell somebody you love them and have them say nothing. How you doing? I thought you loved them. Well, no, I'm not going to say anything. Or better yet, God, I love you so much. I can't even handle being in your presence. I just feel like, yeah, I love you too. What did you say? Which one of you can handle that? No one. You can't handle it. You can't handle amazing things, right? You can't handle amazing. You can't handle the weather. You can't handle the rain when you don't want it to rain. If it rains on your birthday, how you doing? Look at all the things you can't handle. I'm not just talking about these big things. There's all kinds of stuff you can't handle. As long as you can't handle it, the following thing is going to happen. If it happens, you get lost, pulled into it. If you think it might happen, you have a problem. If it happened a long time ago and you didn't like it, you kept it. It's so cute, didn't you? It still bothers you. If it comes back up, what mommy did or daddy did or first boyfriend did, when it comes up, it's still, you can't handle it. So that's the first thing you have to understand. So I'm taking all this time to lay the groundwork. It's not about all this garbage that everybody thinks it's about. It's about being able to handle what's going on inside of you. When you can handle what's going on inside of you, not as just, as right, as wrong, it's not fair, it has nothing to do with that. If it's happening, can you handle it? If it's happening, it's happening. So can you deal with it? No, I have to say it wasn't supposed to happen. I have to say I don't like it. I have to say, what can I do about it? That's not handling it. That's saying I can't handle it. Now what do I do about the fact that I can't handle it? So now not only do you not handle it, so you get pulled down, now you get pulled down to figure out what to do about it. Then you get pulled down because you can't do what you wanted to do about it. Then you get pulled down because you did what you thought you had to do about it, and you weren't able to get what you wanted out. It wasn't the same what you expected. You make a mess, don't you? It's like you drop a leaf in the water, lots of ripples. But the core, the Buddhists say, work at the root. The root is, can you handle it? Because if you can handle it, you don't get distracted by it. If you get distracted by it, it doesn't pull you down. If it doesn't pull you down, you're going to find out there's an energy that's pulling you up. All the time, there's an energy pulling you up, but you're busy being down. All right, there's the groundwork. So we talked about self-realization. We said the highest state is a state of self-realization. The purpose of your life is self-realization. The purpose of creation is self-realization. God created the heavens and earth so he could play and see if he can get back to himself. It's like a video game. Level 1, 2, 3, 4. Which levels can you handle? So what does one do about this? First, and I always discuss this, let's take it in giant steps, big blocks. First, you want to blame the outside. You want to think the outside needs to be a certain way for me to be able to handle things. That's the first gross mistake. I am telling you, the outside has nothing to do with this. I mean nothing. Your inside is completely independent of the outside. What is going on inside of you, there's nothing tying the outside to the inside except for you. 99.9% of every single thing that ever came in through your senses from outside went right through. What? You just told me stuff going right through is a really high state. That 0.1% is a booger. Trees go through, white lines on the road go through, people go through, clouds go through. If I'm sitting there staring at a snake and I can't handle the snake, that's less than 0.1% of everything that's coming up. There's grass, there's weather, there's people talking. You understand that? All kinds of things come in, don't they? And they don't distract you. That's the key. The snake distracts you, but the rest doesn't distract you. You're walking down the streets of New York, your mind is distracting you, but where you're going, there's thousands and thousands of people walking by. There's buildings. They're not distracting you one iota. So am I right in saying that 99.9% of everything that ever came through your senses goes right through? In other words, it doesn't distract you. Pretty neat, isn't it? You're almost there. You're almost there. I made it so encouraging. Just be able to handle 0.1%, all right? And you're enlightened. You're there. Well, but that 0.1% is a booger. And that is, all it takes is one person out of those thousands and thousands of people that are walking by the streets of New York who looks like your sister, who you thought was dead. How you doing? There's no way I did not get distracted for the hour, the month, the year you're looking for. It's like, all right, it's the same thing with the trees. You're driving by, lots and lots and lots of trees, and then all of a sudden you see a tree that reminds you of the one that grew in your backyard when you were 5 years old. Somehow the branches were similar. You're going to think about that tree. It's going to pull you down into it. So the outside world affects the inside world because you said so. It's because of what's already inside of the inside that you stored from before, that the outside stimulates that. It stimulates it, it comes up, and either you like it or you don't like it or this or that. Stuff goes on inside. But the outside didn't do that. Somebody standing right next to you, it didn't happen to them. If an hour ago somebody hadn't said to you, this game I used to play, there's a 1957 penny that was cast in Philadelphia that's worth $600 million. And there was a rumor that it was going around in Gainesville. How many of you look at your pennies nowadays? Nobody looks at the pennies. All of a sudden, you're looking at those pennies, all right? All of a sudden, that which had no effect on you in any way, shape, or form now is running your life. It is not the outside world. It is what you're doing with the outside world inside of you. So we can just leave the outside world alone, okay? But the fact is, your starting position is you're not okay in there. It's disturbing in there. And the outside world, if it behaves the way the inside wants it to, you feel better inside. And if it doesn't behave the way you want it to, you feel bad inside. And it behaves the way you don't want it to, it goes bananas inside. So the outside does affect the inside because you said so. You determined how the outside can affect the inside because you have preconditioned your inside about the outside. Okay? So basically, that's why this whole thing about renunciation. I mean, you have to practice discipline. I'm not talking about that. But renunciation. Money bothers me, so I'm going to have nothing to do with it. I'm sorry. I can't buy into that. If money bothers you, there's something wrong inside of you. It's just a thing in the universe. No different than anything else. I can't handle women. I can't handle men. It's like they're just things outside. So let's renounce them so that they don't bother me. No. Let's learn how to not have them bother you. That's a much higher state. That's why I teach it the way I do. People always say, why do you keep talking about sitting on Earth, spinning in the middle of nowheres? You are sitting on a planet in the middle of nowhere. It's so funny. You're sitting on a planet in the middle of nowhere freaking yourself out. I told you, 1.3 million Earths inside the sun. It's just this tiny little thing transiting a star. Okay, that's enormous. It's just a tiny little thing, and you can't handle it. Okay? You're only here for, 80, 90, 100 years? It's been here for 4.5 billion. And you can't handle what's going on this stupid little planet in the middle of nowheres. That's how you use spirituality. Why do I keep teaching you that? What has it got to do with spirituality? Because at some point you're going to say, maybe I should learn to handle it, all right? Because it's ridiculous that I can't handle it. It's just a little stupid ball in the middle of nowhere. If the whole Earth blew up tomorrow, completely smithereens, a couple of planets would change their orbit, and the entire rest of the universe wouldn't even know it happened. And what did you say is so important? What did you say you can't handle? You can't even handle thinking about it? Oh, my God. You need to get out of that mess. Doesn't mean you don't deal with it. I have to say that because you guys freak out, all right? Once you're out and you're able to handle everything, you're a blessing on the earth. Why? You bring down peace. You bring down harmony. You bring down somebody that's capable of handling the situations instead of I can't handle it, so I have to manipulate the situation so that I can handle it. But what if you can't handle it? Then you have nothing going. You look at the situation, and then can do to help. What can I do to help this situation? I can handle it just fine, but doesn't mean I don't come down and serve. Now you're a servant, as opposed to I can't handle it, so I have to figure out how to manipulate it so it's a way that I can handle. And so notice, the inside's affected by the outside because you said so. You're preconditioned of how you want it to be and so on. All right, so let's leave the outside out for a moment because I'm telling you, it's not binding you. It's binding you because of what you've got going on inside. So if you work with the inside, all of a sudden the outside is what it is, and you're able to serve it. You're able to help, which would be very nice, wouldn't it? To always be in a position to be able to help the situation, raise it. What can I do to help? I have nothing going. I'm fine. Now, what can I do to help? Whoa, that's beautiful. All right? Except you can't be that because you can't handle things. So you interact with the world in a way that tries to make it the way you want it to be. Get it the way I need it to be because I can't handle it when it's not. And make sure it's not the way I don't want it to be because I can't handle it when it is. And so now you're struggling. That's why there's stress and anxiety. And that's why every single thing goes on. So now we're back down to what's causing all this? The fact that you're being distracted and pulled down into your stuff inside. So what do I do? One thing you're going to do, and I'm not stopping you, and no one's stopping you. You need to grow, not demand or try to force. One thing you're going to do, and I just want you to watch, that's witness consciousness. Watch the truth in what I said. You are going to try and get the things outside to be a way that makes you comfortable inside. And you are going to try to manipulate the outside, people, places, and things, to not be the way you don't want them to be, so you don't have to feel yucky inside. I just want you to watch. I want you to notice. Oh, there it is. Look at her. Just notice. Be objective. Be willing to see. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Don't be guilty. Nothing. Just notice. You can't solve a problem if you can't study it. Science, everything will teach you that. If you're not willing to look at it and you can't see it objectively, you ain't going to get anywhere. You're just going to react. There's your first step, is first understand everybody's that way. Do not get ashamed. Do not be embarrassed. Do not think it's wrong. Just, there it is. There it is. All right? Somebody says something. All this defensiveness comes up inside. No, that's not true. I can't say that about it. Whoa, just watch. It's not going to not come up, is it? It's going to come up. Are you at least capable of noticing what's going on in there? That's witness consciousness. That's what they're calling mindfulness. It's not a very high state. You're not enlightened, but it's a good starting point. Krishnamurti called witness consciousness objective observation. He was one of the first who talked about this kind of stuff, all right, a long time ago. He called it objective observation. You just objectively notice what's going on. You don't do anything about it. You're just noticing. And what you're going to notice is that you're a mess. If you don't notice you're a mess, you're not objectively watching. Okay? Ego's a mess. Ego's a mess. Ego will always be a mess, right? The very fact that you made up a you and now you're selling it, you're trying to get everybody to like you and et cetera, nobody to reject you, and you're dressing that way and acting that way and being that way and behaving that way and getting embarrassed if you don't be that way and not liking people. That's ego, isn't it? Anybody got one? Everybody's got one because you don't know who you are, you're lost, and so you build this concept of yourself. It's false. It's a false concept, obviously. Why? Because you're looking at it. You can't be what you're looking at. You're the one who's looking. I'm begging you that your first step out is to be willing to sit there and notice. Notice. And what if I'm noticing and then all of a sudden it gets so strong you pull down into it? Stay out as long as you can and come back as soon as you can. That's all you can do. You're not ready to be able to handle it. So it pulls you down. There's consequences. There's dump energy out there. It's going to come back. Maybe you've noticed that. Okay? And so basically you do the best you can and come back. No guilt, no shame. Just do the best you can. That's a very important part of spiritual growth. If you're really doing the best you can, it's always good enough. The best you can is always good enough. Why? Because it's the best you can. You can hypothetically think I could have done better, but if you come back and you learn from it and then say, I shouldn't have done that, that's not fair. You learned. You learned. You did the best you could where you were. Now you learned. So don't ever be ashamed of what comes back from the best you can. It's your teacher. That's what I got. The best you can. Just do the best you can to stay up there, to be the witness, to pay attention, to be clear, to be honest. And if all of a sudden you start saying things or doing things that isn't what you thought you were going to do, it happens all the time. The energy comes up and it pulls you in, all right? Stay clear as long as you can. It pulls you down. Come back as soon as you can. Don't be embarrassed to come back. Some people, I didn't want to ever fall down, so if I say I came back, it means I fell down, so I did not fall down. There's ego for you. That's called spiritual ego. That's spiritual ego. It's not regular old ego. Let's make a spiritual ego that says I'm not supposed to fall down, so I didn't. I would love you to skip all this. Just be honest, do the best you can, and when you come back, be glad you came back. Don't judge, and then understand that you will learn what you needed to learn by going through that. It's like when you're learning to play tennis, you're going to hit that ball in the net. Do you understand that? Your coach will give it backhand, overhand, this and that is going to go in the net. You better quit because you're not supposed to go in the net. A good tennis player doesn't go in the net. Goes, give up. That's what's happening if you go in there and you can't grow. You can't learn. You're not willing. To me, if you fall, but you did the best you could, That's equivalent to hitting on the net or practicing the piano and making a mistake. That's why you're practicing. Don't ever be ashamed of the best that you can do. God, I wish I could instill this in you. Nobody will teach you this. You're supposed to be perfect, aren't you? That's ridiculous. Which one of you picked up a sport and were perfect at it the moment you picked it up? Which one of you picked up an instrument and could play it like a master the moment you tried to play it? No one. You're willing to say, I need to learn, but not in here. You're not willing to learn. You have to say, I am willing to learn. Now I know what I'm trying to learn to be able to handle things, to not get pulled down into the energies, the lower energies. How do you learn? By practice. It's not going to happen right away just because you have a talk. And so you basically do your best. You do your best, and then you honor and respect the results of the best. If it comes back and it's messy, look at it and say, wow, I'm not going to do that again. I learned from that. You're allowed to learn. This we're talking about evolution. You're allowed to evolve. So every day of your life, you have the opportunity to learn how to stay centered. But it's not going to happen all at once. Okay, so now we've got the semblance of being centered, of a seat of consciousness, and then it gets pulled down, you come back. Very good. Now you get a little clearer. You start to understand what's going on down there. First, real quick, why is that going on down there? Somebody once wrote me and said, I see the voice inside my head. Why did God put it there? I thought God did everything. Why would he put that stupid voice inside my head, driving me crazy and causing me to do all kinds of crazy things? God did not put that voice inside your head. You did. I did. Why would I do such a thing? Because events happened in your life that you were not able to handle. See, now you've been taught some stuff, you can handle more things, but you weren't before. You weren't taught anything. So you couldn't handle them. And when they came in and you couldn't handle them, you pushed them away, which is one thing you can do with these energies that come up inside, is you can say, no, I don't like this, I can't handle this, and you use those hands of will in there to push it away so you don't have to feel it. Why? Because I don't want to feel it. But it happened. I don't care. I don't want it to have happened, and I don't want to feel the fact that it happened. Sound familiar? Therefore, I'm not going to let it all the way back into me. See, you're back there. It'll all go back and merge back into God. He wants to experience his universe. You're his emissary. So all these things go on, right? Now God knows what anger feels like. Whoa, hello. But no, you won't let him. That ain't going back in there. I'm not letting anger or fear or insecurity go in as deep as when you love me and I melt in your arms. Now I let that go in really deep, don't I? I melt into that. That's what you mean. I melted into it. It was so beautiful. I was just so open. There we go. You let it go all the way in. You like those, don't you? All right? This ain't coming in there. There's no way. Right? What you just said to me, I don't know. I ain't going nowhere. I'm stopping it right at the gate. And so you push it away. All right? You've done that throughout your life. Every single thing you ever pushed away is still in there. Who taught you that? Not me, Freud. No, seriously. All of psychology teaches you that. If you push it away, it's energy. Yoga looks at it this way. It's energy. The event doesn't come in. The event's out there. But the energy of the event came in. You understand? The vibration, the whole thing, it came in. You couldn't handle it, so you push it away. Where did energy go? Energy can neither be created or destroyed. It doesn't just disappear or dissipate. When it comes in, it hits the will, your will of pushing it away, and the energy has to go somewhere, so it circles around itself. Now it's still there, and it's still moving. That's the only way the energy can stay in one place in this universe, is in a circle. And that circle is called a samskara. That's what's meant by a samskara. You just stored inside of you a blockage that kept the entire package of emotions, thoughts, event, every single thing is stored in there because you didn't let it pass through. And you've done that throughout your life with big things and little things, and they're still in there. And you know it. They can come back up, can't they? You see somebody remind you of this, okay? This is not complicated. You're living in there. You see it all the time. Those things you shove down there are still there, and they are blockages. They block the beautiful energy that can come up inside of you. And when things hit it, they come back up. And that's why it's a mess in there. And that's why one thing distracts you and not him. Because you got stuff going in there about that you stored from before. So one thing you can do with these energies when they come up is what you've done your whole life, which is push them away. Well, what about positive things? I don't push away positive things, no, but you cling to them. You want them to happen again, don't you? You compare everything else that happens from then on against them. So it's not the same as disappointing. In both cases, you kept this stuff inside. Those are called positive and negative scars. And now you got to live with those. They're in there running your life. They're in there determining when you're open or closed, what you like, what you don't like. That's why the outside affects the inside, because you stored all that stuff in there. So what's the growth? The growth is don't store that stuff in there. That's what evolution is. There are more things I can handle that I have to store inside. Why? Because I can handle it. If you can handle it, you don't have to store it. Well, we're talking about 99.9% go right through. I want to get it down to 99.95. All right? And then 99. Okay? I want it to pass through. Then they're not in there causing disturbance. So one thing you can do with the energies when they come up inside, because you're in there, you're centered now, you some witness consciousness, you watch it come up, don't push it back down. Are there times I have to push it down? There are times you have to hold it from taking you over. If it takes you over, you lose it. If you're conscious enough, you say, okay, this is not going to be good. I have to temporarily hold it down, but don't ever forget you held it there and let it go. When you get out of the situation that's causing the triggering and stuff like that, be conscious enough to realize I don't want that down there for the rest of my life. I had to hold it temporarily because I didn't want to lose it. I didn't want to say something I didn't mean to say. Okay? So that's conscious behavior. The consciousness is still there, making a decision. I'm going to hold this temporarily. But I'm telling you, you don't want it down there forever. You don't want that somebody says something to you and have trouble handling it, then you can never talk to that person again without getting upset. It happens to people, don't they? Right? Last thing you said to me, no, I'll never have it. You just kept it there for years. All right? The whole talk's about self-realization. How to let the energy go all the way up. You have to handle them. So that's one thing. So don't suppress it, but you may have to temporarily work with it so that you're not losing it. At some point, you won't lose it anymore, ever again. You won't ever lose it ever again. It may get weird in there a little bit, but you know enough to step aside. You know enough to breathe, right? But at least you're conscious. It was a conscious decision of dealing with the energy a certain way, not the energy took over. The lowest thing is that the energy take over. At a point, you will never let that happen ever again. So one way is don't suppress it. Well, then what? You're going to find out if you don't suppress it, it's going to try and express. Suppression, expression. One is push it down. The other is it goes out. It goes out of your mouth, out of your fists, out of the pots and pans. You can go out lots of different ways, can't it? Yes or no? All right? So there it is. And there can be conscious expression as opposed to consciously suppressing it temporarily. I don't teach it, right? It doesn't mean it's not right. I can't teach everything. But some people teach, especially psychology, teaches consciously express it. Let's get pillows and hit each other with the pillows as opposed to our fists. Okay, well, that's a release of energy. You're releasing the energy. You're not holding it back and suppressing it, right? You're consciously making decisions that I can't handle this energy. It needs to have an outlet, and so you're expressing it. And that's fine. It's certainly better than suppression, and it's certainly better than losing it. Notice, you see how deep we're talking? Isn't that what it's like to live in there? You got to deal with this stuff one way or another, okay? If you don't deal with it, it deals with you. How's that? And so there is expression. There is expression, right? And hopefully it's conscious. Hopefully it's a decision you make, and you do things that let you handle the energy. The highest thing you can do with the energy, and I talk about it, and I see that even evolved people don't understand, is you can transmute it. The same energy. Anger, lust, this, fear, insecurity, anything that can come up in there, you feel it coming up, and you feel the tendency to push it away, and then you feel it wants to express itself, and you've just reached the point of clarity so strong upstairs in your clarity that you can, I don't know what to say, you bring it up. What do you mean? In truth, what you're doing is bringing it up the different chakra system, up higher and higher up your system. But I don't have to use those words. I never use those words. I'm a yogi, but I don't use those words, all right? Because why bother? Why just make it more complicated? Go learn about all the chakras and what colors they are and how they spin and all that kind of stuff. It's true. It's all true. But that's mental, all right? I'm telling you, you can breathe that energy up. It starts to come up. You feel some anger. You don't want to go out, right? Just, Ramdas used to teach, drop a bucket from up here, drop a bucket down into that pool, fill it up with whatever the energy is, and then pull it up and then pour it over your head. That's the same thing as breathe it up. Just breathe it up. You will be so shocked to find out the more you practice, you're capable of transmuting the energies. That all of a sudden it starts to come up as fear, and it becomes funny. It just you get a rush. You get a rush of energy. Why? It's energy. Energy's wonderful. You all want energy, don't you? Okay? I'm tired. I'm blocked. Well, that's right. Then what I'm going to do if some stuff starts coming up, bring it up. So that's the highest. So there's suppression, expression, and transmutation. And transmutation is the highest, but like I said, most people don't know how to do it. But you will learn if it's your intention to sit there. Ultimately, you will find out that I want to bring every single energy that I'm looking at down below up. All right? And what it ends up doing, which is an amazing thing, is the energy was caught down there, so it was being used to build your ego, to build this, to build different pockets of your psyche. Okay, there are different things in there, aren't they? All of a sudden somebody else comes up in there, yes or no? Or maybe there's just the same thing, steady and stable all the time. Okay? Everything you suppressed creates a little pocket of that kind of energy, that kind of thing. And so all of a sudden you didn't realize that was in you, and it comes up and you're behaving differently. Yes or no? Ever noticed? A lot of times you don't want to notice because you like to stay stable. And so you don't want to notice there's different parts of you. When it's all said and done, it all has to go up. You need every single part of all the energy inside of you to go in one direction in order to reach the highest state. Why? Because if it's down there, it's still going to distract you. So transmutation, you start feeling it as anger, you start feeling it as this, that, or the other thing, and you'll find that if you can bring it up, it strengthens your seat of self. That's the ultimate use of will. You become stronger up here. Why? Because you got more energy up here. And it becomes weaker down there because you took its energy. That's why it's called transmutation. You're shifting it from lower energy up to higher energy. So literally, you become more conscious. You become more centered. You become more clear. You become stronger inside. And it becomes weaker. Why? Because it was using that energy to keep your samskaras, to keep this stuff. So transmutation is everything. It's your entire spiritual growth. It's the highest thing you can do. But conscious expression is higher than unconscious suppression. So there's all these different layers, okay? And your world, this world you live in, this plane, is all about expression. I'll be okay if I get rich. I'll be okay if I find my soulmate. I want the corner office. I want people to respect me. I want to be able to be a leader in this area. It's all about express, 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 express. Get what you want, express, get what you want, express. And that's what they call the highest state you can get. The highest state you can get is succeed. Be a success in your field and have everybody clap when you come on stage. Have everybody know your name. Someday you'll catch on. It don't do squat for you, not a single thing. All right? If everybody claps when you go on stage, you won't want to go back on stage next time because they might not clap. There is no win in that game. It's just a temporary feeling of release. But then what? Now I got to fight to keep it. There's no win in the expression game. But it is better than the suppression game. And it's better than no energy. Okay? And I don't want to take it away from you. It's not that you stop doing that. You just stay conscious and see it. And eventually your seed will become strong enough that you'll understand transmutation. And then when you start bringing the energy up and you become clearer in here, you start feeling joy, just literally joy. You sit in your car, you go to park your car, and all this waves of joy, of ecstasy are pouring inside of you. You can't even move. And you're sitting in there for 20 minutes just in a state of ecstasy. Why? No reason. You're open. That's what's inside of you. That's your natural state. But it takes a lifetime. It takes your work. It's real. I don't want to say, I mean, fine, go somewhere and have some experience. It's wonderful. It's inspiring. But you don't stay there. You have to come back to your world. You got to come back to the kids and the husband and the school and the job. And I want it to be that it's your state of being, that there's nothing you have to do to maintain that ecstasy. Nothing you have to do to stay centered and clear inside because you got rid of the lower stuff. I'm telling you, every bit of energy that you transmute from lower feeds the higher. And all of a sudden there's this power up there. You can feel it pouring out of your hands, all kinds of stuff, right? So, okay. And you just keep going, you keep going. And eventually you realize, because it's so beautiful in there, I'm going to handle. Imagine being filled with ecstasy and somebody says something to you don't like. You have a choice. Give up the ecstasy or say, oh, fine, talk dirty to me, I like it. And you're going to find out if you say that, you're higher than you were before they did it. I told you. The lady who gave us the Durga statue, Ma Yog Shakti, very high saint, very, very clear being. She passed some years ago. But she once leaned over to me. She said, Mickey, she talked very quiet. Mickey, I said, yes, mother. She says, don't you just love when they yell at you? There's so much energy. In other words, she's transmuting the energy, and she was talking about her disciples yelling at her. And so she just took the energy and sent her up to ecstasy. How would you like that? Okay, now you're getting there. And when it happens enough, and you start catching on, which eventually you will, which one do you want to go down once you're feeling love? Then why do you? Why do you? Why do you say, I love you with all my heart, it's so love? And then he says one word, she says one word, and you close. Why? You were already winning. Who cares what they say? I want to feel the love no matter what you say. Too bad. I'm leaving you. How can I help you pack? I would love to help you pack. This is going to be fun. All right? I want you that high. I do. And you're capable of it. You are a great being. I told you how great you were in the beginning, didn't I? You are God. God, the whole universe. Omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. That which created all things is looking down at your mind. And you're busy going down there. All right. We had a nice talk. So the key is to be able to handle what is going on inside of you. How do you do that? You practice. You work with it. The witness is very important. You just keep working with your energy, bringing it up. Jagradav.